Mesechta Avoda Zara Daf Lamed Hey Amud Aleph with like 10 lines from the top. Hisiyu. We're starting in the Mishnah. We had learned how do you call it about goyish cheese. If it's that it's aser, that's the rennet because it's made from maybe a rennet of the Gemara wanted to say, the Mishnah wanted to end off saying it was made from rennet of an animal that was sacrificed for Avoda Zara. But the Gemara, so the Mishnah is, the Rabbi Shmuel is, l'chera, it should be aser b'hana too. Why is it only aser b'achila? Anyway, so instead of answering, Rabbi Yeshua distracted Rabbi Yishmael with a different conversation, and he started to talk about the pronunciation of words in the pasuk. Deidayich or deidecha. We're going to get into it right now. Says the Gemara, Hisiyu l'davacha. Rabbi Yeshua didn't answer Rabbi Yishmael on his question about why the gvina of a Ovid Chacham is going to be no good, why it's going to be pasul or you cannot asur, that you cannot use it. And he distracted him by starting a different conversation. In fact, you might admire in this pasuk that he distracted him with is should it be read deidecha or deidayich in the lashon nekeva, meaning whose love is more than wine. Were the Yidden telling Hashem that your love for us is greater than wine, or or Hashem was telling the Yidden that the Yidden your love for me is greater than wine? So we concluded that it's going deidecha, that it's going on the Knesset Yisrael. We're telling Hashem that Hashem, your love for us is greater than wine. In fact, what does it mean that your love is better than wine? When Avdimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Babel, he said, Amra Knesset Yisrael of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Yidden said before Hashem, Rebbeinu Shalom, Arevim alai divrei deidecha, yoizim yeinu shal Torah. Your love for the words of the Chachamim are greater than the Ikar of the Torah. Meaning, this pasuk is like hinting the Gzeres of the Chachamim are very chashuv to Hashem more than the Torah itself. Okay. In fact, you want to mention Haikra the Shaili. Why did they ask on pronunciation of this pasuk that had a suffix should be deidayich, deidecha? There are many different pasukim, like Rashi brings down a whole bunch of different pasukim where there's a shaila what the pronunciation should be in the words. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Shimon ben Pasvi, Itayma, Rabbi Shimon Barami, Meireisha de Kraka Malay. You have to go back to the beginning of the pasuk, and we'll understand why he chose this pasuk. What's the beginning of that pasuk? Yishakenim in a shikos piyul, that Hashem should kiss us with the neshika of his mouth. Amalei, so Yishmael, he said Yishmael Achi, Yishmael my brother. Achi is a famous word when you come to Eretz Yisrael. Achi. Okay, Yishmael. Achi. Okay, Yishmael, my brother. He said, just like by kissing, the lips come together. We want you to make believe you're kissing. Shut your mouth. Close your mouth, and don't ask any shilas here. So, in fact, the Gemara, my time, Rabbi Yeshua was the Gemara is explaining why Rabbi Yeshua brought down this pasuk. He was hinting to Rabbi Yishmael, don't ask shilas on this Gzeira. So my time, what's talking the time that Rabbi Yeshua didn't want that Yishmael should ask any shilas? Because it was a new decree. And we don't start analyzing by a new Gzeira. And the Gemara will explain. So the Gemara, what was the Gzeira? Because they would leave open the chalav while it was liquid till it became cheese. They would leave it uncovered, and a snake would come and take a sieve, pack in it, and leave the eris, and leave the poison. So that's why it's also the gvina shalakim, because they're not careful with covering the barrels overnight.
So only Akum could be Jewish also.
It says goyim are not careful. You're not careful. We know about it. The Gemara asks why a goy wouldn't be. Shouldn't he be careful? So we have from the Gemara before that the goyim are immune. They eat the shratzim, which has a little bit of eris, if you remember. Shratzim, the insects, crawling insects, which have a little bit of poison in it also. So they eat that the whole time. So when a snake gives them, when they eat the snake poison,
Don't worry about it.
they're immune. Shuratzim. Anyway, in fact, you mother, so says you mother, if there's such a simple reason, why couldn't he just answer him? Because we're afraid that the guy will leave it uncovered, and we have to worry about the errors, about the poison. So he mother like the Ula he goes when they were guys this decree in Eretz Yisrael, they didn't reveal it till after 12 months. They wanted the Yidden to be Mekayim the Gzeda for 12 months without telling them the reason. Because maybe there'll be some person that will say, nah, the Gzeda doesn't make sense. It's not a good Gzeda. And they won't listen to it. And they'll be Mazalzim the Gzeda. So that's why they didn't want to tell them. So they waited till 12 months. Once everybody's doing it already, they're accustomed, and if you don't tell them the reason, they're not going to question. They'll say, listen, Stam the Chacham had a good reason why they made this Gzeda. You don't tell them the reason, and they won't question it. After 12 months, you can tell them the reason. They're ready. Everyone is doing it, so it's hard to be Mavatal. Anyway, Megadif by Rabbi Yirmiyah gestured. Usually Megadif means cursed. But here, Rabbi Yirmiyah, what's this? What's going on here? Elamiyato, only now, Yasha Tishli, according to your Gzeda, because of poison, that the dry Gvina should be mutter, because if there's eris in it, it can never become dry, like we learned before. Or Yasha, if it's old, Yasha and Tishli, if the Gvina was old, it should be mutter, because if there is poison, it would never become old. The Amar Rabbi Chanina, Yavish mutter. Yavish is going to be mutter to eat it. You don't have to worry about the poison, because because the poison will not allow it to dry up. And the same thing with Yashan. If it's old cheese, if you see it's old, mutter, it should be mutter, because the poison doesn't allow it to become old. So you're right. Rabbi Chanina said the reason why Gvina of a guy is asra because it's impossible that the Gvina shouldn't have a mixture of water. You know, when you make Gvina, there's always a little bit of water. It's called whey. I think Whey.
It's like the
remnants of the cheese, but it's liquidy,
yes.
and it's in the holes of the cheese it's found. So if a guy does it, we have to be worried that he mixed in a chalav of a behemoth meya. And that's why it's going to be tummy. It's not going to be good. We said a chalav from a behemoth meya, it doesn't become cheese. Remember, we said that before. It doesn't have the enzymes of a behemoth meya. Only the behemoth tahiris, that those could become cheese, but of a behemoth meya not. So how could it be? It's cheese. So he says, like the Avoda will say anyway later, that maybe the liquid, part of that liquid that's there is from the behemoth meya. That's why it's usher. Shmuel says that the Gvina of a goy is a different reason. Because they're using the rennet of, not just the rennet, they're using the skin of the stomach. That's a chelik of the behemoth. We said rennet is mutter. Rennet, to use the rennet of a nevela, the rennet, not the cholav. The rennet is mutter because it's not part of the behemoth. But here we're saying he didn't make it hard through just the rennet. He used the skin of the stomach. So that makes sense. It's part of the behemoth.
Cheese in a different way.
They make sure you can make it a hum. Today we don't even make it. Mishnah finds says that most of it is done through herbs, so we don't even have to worry that there's anything of a green of a goy.
But the rennet is also from the behemoth.
What?
The rennet is also from the why is it should be called?
But the rennet is just a liquid. It's not like this is like the number two. The mis was come to rice. It's not from the behemoth. But here we're saying they use the skin of the stomach. That's shachel from the behemoth. Says the Gemara, "High keva gufa shaya." It's mashma from this Gemara that the only reason why this cheese was also because they used the skin of the animal. It's mashma. If they only would have used the rennet of the animal, it would have been mutter. That's according to Shmuel. Thank you. Did Shmuel say the rennet is going to make the animal tahir? I mean, it's going to make the Gvina Torah, it's not part of the animal. Now we learned in the Mishnah. It says the stomach of a behemoth that was geshacht by a guy, and of a nevela, as if nevela is something else. Harezu is surah, that's also. Havina, but the Gemara asked, what is going on here? Other David Gechavim, when a David Gechavim shachs lav nevela, is it not a nevela? Why did you say he shachted it, and therefore the keva is also, and then he said also another case v'shal nevela. It is a nevela. If a guy shachs, that's a nevela. What are you saying? Shal nevela, a second case. I'm thinking about Mishmul chadik tani. It's really one din. He's not saying two cases. Kevas b'shchitas et gechavim. The keva that was used from a goy that shachted the animal, nevela. It has a din of a nevela v'asura. Nish nevela is a second case. So what do we see from here? Shmuel says that the keva is asur, and we just said that Shmuel said it's mutter. So you want to like kasha? This is no kasha. Kan in the Mishnah in Chulin, when it said keva's nevela is asur b'achila, it's koydem chazara. Before Rabbi Yeshua retracted, he thought that the rennet of the animal is a part of the animal. So therefore, he said it's asur if it was used for the cheese.
No, it's not.
But Khan here is after after he retracted, because Rabbi Shmuel explained to him, look by a oila, which is much more chomer than a vela. If there was a nursing animal that they shechted, and a kohen drank from the cave, from the milk of the cave, we said he's allowed. Because it's mutter. And oila, you're not going to have nothing. No, there's much more chomer than kiyisurim. Even in the Hana, it's Me'ila, Yoiva Me'ila. It's not Me'ila. So if by oil it's not Me'ila, for sure, but for making the cheese, it's not part of the animal. When you're talking about Nevela. So here, the place where we said Keva's Mutter is talking about after he retracted. The Mishnah is talking about before he retracted. But he says the Mishnah loizazim kema. Nevertheless, even though the halacha is not like the Mishnah, since the Talmudim Hamshin eingeweint, they chazed it and they know it balper. The words they learned, we're not going to say forget about, get it out of your mind. No, learn it. No, the halacha is not like that. But later on, he retracted. Rav Malkiah Mishmei Avoda Bar. If you remember, we had Rav Malkiah and Malkiah. Malkiah is the halacha is like him by the braises, because the lashon nekeva Malkiah, and one of the braises in the Mishnah was Gevina, and he said there, why is Gevina of a goy aser? He says because they coat it with lard, with chazafats, right? Malki Mishmei Avoda Bar said mipnei she'machlikim paneh b'shuman chazer, because they cover the cheese, they coat it with lard, with pig fat. What?
Those there was no refrigerator, so this kept
it preserved. Rav Chizda said a different reason. Why is a gvina shalakim going to be sir? Because they make a lot of the goyim, they make the cheese out of vinegar. Vinegar comes from wine, and a goy who's doing it could be it's from yayin nesach. Rav Nachman Yitzchak says that the Gevina for a different reason. Why is Gevina Shalek D'Cham Asur? Mipnei Shehem Midin Oizim B'Saf Hanaval Arla, because they use the sap of the tree, they put it in the milk to make it into cheese. Now, sap of it, the first 3 years of a tree has a din of Allah. You're not allowed to have enough, not allowed to even have enough from the fruits of the tree. Okay, so
You can't tap into it for the first 3 years.
right, the first 3 years you can't touch it of a first new planted tree. Says the Gemara. So Kiman. So who did Rav Nachman Yitzchak say his words? Kehai Tana, like this Tana, because others say there's Rabbi Yeshua argues with Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Yeshua says the sap of a tree is not considered as the peta of the tree. In the Torah it says the V'haraltem or Lasei Espiria, it has to be the Piria is also. Sap of the wood is not, according to Rabbi Yeshua, it's not part of the tree. Only Rabbi. So who says that the sap of the tree has a din like Arla? Says Yomar, it follows Rabbi Lezer. It says Rabbi Lezer. It's not that we learned in the Mishnah. Rabbi Lezer Hamamid bisrav ha'ala also it's also mipnei shehu peida because he holds the sap of the tree has a din like period. Says Gemara, you know what? Afilu tema Rabbi Yeshua. We can even say that it follows Rabbi Yeshua argues with Rabbi Lezer, and he says one who makes cheese with the sap of the tree, then the gvina is going to be mutter. So what were they arguing? What was Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yeshua arguing about? At kan loy pligi Rabbi Yeshua alei, the Rabbi Lezer ela bekitva the gavza, by the sap that comes out of he says out of the peda itself. I'm sorry, ela bekitva the gaza. By the sap that comes out of the tree, everybody says it's not going to be Allah. It's not going to have a din of Allah. Only where is it going to be? That's where they're going to argue. 1 second. Only by sap that comes out of a tree, there by the sap, it's not awesome mishum Allah. It's not going to be awesome mishum Allah. Aval bekitva the peda. But the sap that comes out of the tree itself, Maida Rabbi Yeshua will be Maida that it's also because of Allah. Because it's paid. The sap out of a fruit itself is going to be also.
Why is that?
Again?
Why is it also the sap out of the
fruit? Because the Torah says the first 3 years, the fruits that grow of a first planted tree, first 3 years, you're not allowed to have anah from those fruits.
And afterwards you could.
Afterwards, the 4th year, you bring it up to your shalayim. It's neterevai, and that you bring up the 4th year of the planting is brought up to your shalayim, and it's like has a din like ma'aser sheni. It has to be eaten in your shalayim, or you can redeem it for money. So he says you could even say, let me go again. Afilu tema. You could even say like Rabbi Yeshua argues with Rabbi Lezer in that Mishnah, and who says that the sap that comes out of the Allah tree is mutter. He will hold. Rabbi Yeshua says it's mutter, but ad kan loy polik Rabbi Yeshua alei Rabbi Lezer el bekitva the gaza. They're only arguing about sap from a tree. Rabbi Yeshua says sap out of the wood of the tree is not a fruit, but if he makes the gvina bekitva the peda, if he makes it from the sap of a fruit, even Rabbi Yeshua is maida that it's going to be us of this cheese. V'hainu detran. And this is what we learned in the Mishnah. Amar Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua said, Shamaiti befeidish. I heard explicitly, Shamamid b'saf, one who makes cheese from the sap that comes out, b'na olin, from the leaves, ub'saf, ha'yikarin, or from the sap that comes out from the roots of the tree, muta. That's muta because it's not considered as the fruit. But b'sraf, min ha'pagin, but the sap from the unripe figs or unripe fruits, asam epnei shu peda, because that's the sap from a peda. Yes. So what is it Rabbi Yeshua holds that only? So we brought down 5 reasons. Like one is because why is it gvina shalakim asur? Because they use the skin of the stomach itself, so it's the behemoth itself. So it's nevela, correct, or it's part of a goyish animal that could have been used sacrificed for Avoda zara, or you could say because they coated it with pig fat, like Malkia said, the lard. They use lard to coat it to preserve it. Rav Chizda said, why is it goyish cheese also? Because they used vinegar to make the cheese, which you have to worry about yayin nasa. Yeah, and the wine is yayin nasa. Rav Nachman Yitzchak said because he used the sap of an older fruit, which is forbidden to have anah, and that's why it's going to be asa. It's the first 2 years you're not allowed to have anah from it. Says Gemara, whether it's according to Rav Chizda's reason that the reason why Gvina is also because they made it out of vinegar, and you have to worry about Yayin Nesa. Or whether according to Rav Nachman Yitzchak, he says they made the cheese with the sap of the fruits of Allah. Titzabana, it should become asabana. Why do you say it's only us to eat it? It should be asabana. Says you want a kasha. It's not a good kasha. Doda Rav Nachman Bereida Chizda. Rav Nachman Bereida Chizda Dashan. Ma'inach Siv. What is the meaning of the pasuk? L'reyach shmanecha tovim. The fragrance of your oils are good.
He's going back now to back to the psukim.
It's a different pasuk in Shir Hashirim. He's learning what's the pshat. The Gemara is dashing the pasuk of l'reyach shmanecha tovim. So it says the Gemara. This pasuk is a hint to Talmidei Chachamim. We're talking about the Talmidei Chachamim's gzeiras. They're very chashuv. And here is really talking about teaching other people. Lama Talmud Chacham daima. To what is a Talmud Chacham similar to? Litzloichis shel plaiten. To balsam oil.
Balsam oil.
Yes, that's in a bottle. If migula, if it's open, reicha neidef, then the fragrance spreads. It's a good smell. It spreads all over. Mechusa, but if it's closed and sealed, ein reicha neidef, then it doesn't spread. So too, a Talmud Chacham who knows how to learn it, he doesn't teach. It's not spreading. It's like a closed bottle. He has to open the bottle, learn with others, so that the fragrance spread. Not only that, but somebody who teaches other people things that like were hidden to him, or things that you didn't understand. But a lot of times, even myself, when I'm teaching, it just comes out. The hard things to understand becomes easy to understand. It says below Torah. You talk it out, and maybe that helps also. See out to the Shmaya.
What did you understand this morning?
Here I got one piece over here. Further, 1 second. Mizgalim chusim imenu mizgal, because I learned with Zalman. He was in Eretz Yisrael, so he said I should say it fast for him. Mizgal.
Is more expensive.
Huh?
The telephone is more expensive.
No, he has all these plans. Don't worry. He's in the middle of wearing his hijab. Becomes revealed to him. Shenever, like it says in the pasuk, Al Kain Alamas Ahivucha. The maidens love you. Don't read maidens. Kribe Alumes Ahivucha. Read the dvarim that are hidden, are beloved, loving you, meaning it becomes revealed to you. Not only that, the Malach HaMavis loves him, meaning that he gives him long life, and he brings down from the Sam Seifa and the Ben Yehoyada says that people die prematurely, so the Malach HaMavis takes their years and he gives it to the Talmidei Chachamim,
To his friends.
He lets them have more years. You're right. That's what it means. Not only that, he gives him, he inherits 2 worlds. This world and the world to come. No, nicht the Malach. The Talmud Chacham hat 2 Welten jetzt. He's has a good here and good there. Krebe, and how should you read Alamis? Krebe, Oilamis. You have to read Alamis as Oilamis. So the Isaiah Oilamis Oilam Abba.
How come he's such a nice guy?
I don't know if he's such a nice guy.
He's still young and he gives the old.
He likes learning people.
Yeah.
He likes to learn to mention.
Yeah. These are the things of a goy that are forbidden to eat. But there's no isur, it's just us to eat. Milk that a goy made, and there's no yid watching over him, so then we have to worry that he used chalav tmeya. V'hapas, and bread of a goy, v'hashem shalahen is aser, meaning you can't eat it. Why? Because mishum chasnos. It has nothing to do. He might put something aser in it. It's just that if bread is part of a party, and if when he's in the party, he might see a goyish girl over there, and he'll get married with her. So mishum chasna, be bread or oil. Rabbi ubezdin hitiru hashaman. Rabbi and his bezdin was mata the oil. So here, Rebbe usually means Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi. He says he can't be Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi. Because before the Gzeira Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi existed, he wasn't Mevatel. So it has to be his grandchild, Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya. That's what Rashi says. Hashlakis is bishul. The cooking of a guy is also because of chasnes, because of we're afraid that they'll intermarry. Uchvashim and pickled stuff. Pickled stuff. How did they pickle things? With vinegar also. With vinegar too. So we have to worry that they use the yayin nesach. V'tadis trufa, or fish, that they cut it into very small pieces. So there we have to worry that he could have mixed in other fish and you wouldn't even know if there's the non-kosher fish. And a brine, a brine from a kosher fish, the juice, usually creates a fish called kilbis, which is a usher fish, is a tamidik fish that swims. But only if you see that kilbis fish in the brine, then you know the brine is good. The juice of the fish is good.
What's a kilbis fish?
A kilbis, it's created from the brine. But only from what kind of brine? Brine from a kosher fish. It's almost like a chayk, that the one who's Torah becomes tummy. Here, the kilbis has to be created from it in order that the brine should be kosher. But the kilbis itself is a treif from the fish. So he says about chiluk. Chiluk is the fish that we said that you don't see its fins and scales till later. So, but they sell, and when they're small, they sell with a bunch of fish. So it's hard to differentiate between the tamidik fish and the good fish. But we said somebody who's a professional, will be able to tell. But a regular person should not touch this fish, the chilik, because it could be it was mixed with other fish which was tummy. And a sharp, he doesn't say what the chiltis is, a sharp vegetable, no. So we say he's not allowed to eat it because the guy has a knife which was with fat from Basa Treifa or Basa Nevela, and he cuts it into the sharp thing. So it's boiled. Umelech shal kundis, and the Gemara will explain later what it is. Harei elu asurim, they are asurim, isurim are not, but they're not asurim are not. Zog the Gemara chalav, the milk of a goy, lemay nechashlam. What do you have to worry about eating drinking the milk of a goy? Imishum ichalufe, if you're afraid that the goy mixed in chalav from a tamidik animal, says the Gemara, there's no way. Tahir chibar, the milk of a tamidik animal is really white. Tamei yari, but the tamei is a little yellowish. It's colored a little bit. So you can see right away the difference. It says you want to be mishum I aruve. If you're afraid that they're going to mix it, nekim. So do like this. Nekim. Let the yid make it into cheese. Now, if it was tamidik milk, it will never turn into cheese. Milk from a tamidik behemoth doesn't have the enzymes to turn it to cheese. So you'll know right away if it doesn't become cheese. So you know it's tummy. The Omamar chalav Torah oimed, chalav tamei ain't oimed. The Tana had said if it's chalav Torah, it could become cheese. Chalav tamei cannot become cheese. Says you want to eat the kabay if the yid wants ligvina chanami. You're right. If the yid wants to make his milk into cheese, that's a good way of determining which one is tummy or Torah. The kabay the kamcha. Over here we're talking about he wants to make kutach. He wants to make a dip. So who says it? So why should he waste it all into cheese? He doesn't want it as cheese. Yeah. And the mother of Nishka Menei Kali Venekum. Let the Yid take a little bit. A little bit of the rennet and put it into some milk. Don't use all milk, and you'll see if it turns into cheese. You know this kosher milk, and if it does, you know it's tamidik milk. And the Yamana Kivan the Betoy Nami Kinisyevi the Loikaime Lakin make him Alei Milsa. He says, like we said before, since there is the liquid from the cheese, so you'll never be able to tell if there was tamidik chalav there. Because you could say the way that liquid that's there in the holes of the cheese is really from chalav tamei. And you're not going to automatically say, oh no, it's from the cheese, and all that liquid is only from the kosher cheese. It could be it's tummy the milk there.
So what do you do?
So you can't eat it if it's a guy, unless there's a yid watching over. If you want, you could say even if he wants it to use it for, he wants it for the cheese. There's always going to be leftover whey. Again, it's very similar. That's going to be in the cheese, and you're not going to know. Maybe it's coming from the chol of tomei. Okay, Zog the Gemara, pas. Bread of a goy. I'm gonna have Yechnin. Pas akum loy hutin the besnin. They were not mated in the besnin. They paskin also. Pas palta is a pas of a baker. Okay, which a private guy, even a baker will soon going to learn is going to be usher. Meklodi command the shari. From this study, paskin that pas cooked baked by a guy is usher. You can learn out that there's somebody who says it's mutter. Says you in, yeah, you're right. The chiyasa Ravdimi. When Avdimi came from there to Sota Babel, he said, Pam achas yatsa Rebbe l'sada. One time, Rebbe went out to the field. The Hevi Kecham lefon pas pune. A guy brought a pas pune mafisa, a big loaf of bread from baked in a humongous oven that's open from the side. Pune is a big oven. The small ovens were open from the top. It could only hold 2 kedetas. Pune was a big, like you have in the matzah baker, a big oven. Rebbe, pasu, how beautiful is this bread? Why did the Chacham see to ask it? In fact, the Gemara, Rebbe is Mauro Chachamim. Why? What the Chacham? Very simple. Mishum Chasnis. That's the reason. Ella, what was the kasha? Mauro Chacham Loisma Soda. He says in the field you don't have to worry. Nobody's there. You know, there's no parties in the field. Right. So let him. Why can he eat in the field? Kisvurin, so because of Rabbi Shaila, Rabbi Pas, they understood that the people understood Rabbi was mad to the pas, and it wasn't true. Rabbi Bamas he was loy hit pas. Really, Bamas Rabbi never was mad to this bread. It was a mistake. They made a mistake. He made a statement that the son he asked, but he didn't. He wasn't mad to it. Rav Yosef, Tamer Rav Shmuel, Rav Yehuda Amar Loi Kachayam. I said this wasn't the story. One time, Rebbe went to one place. He saw there wasn't enough bread for the students. Amar Rebbe said, "Eikam palta. There's no baker here." Kisvurim ha'am leima palta evit kecham. So they thought he's referring to a baker, a goy shebaker. V'hu layama palta yisrael. He meant to say a Jewish baker. Amar Rabbi Chavel said, "Afilu man de'ama palta evit kecham and layamar el leika palta yisrael." But before we say, look how Rebbe made, there was once a Rebbe, they had Golden Flow and J&J. You remember the 2 companies of milk? Yeah, so they're waiting for the Rebbe to see what he's going to drink. Picks up the Golden Flow and then he picks up the J&J and he looks at both bottles and he drinks from the J&J. So the people say, the J&J is the kosher one, the Golden Flow is good. So the Rebbe said, what are you talking about? The Golden Flow was empty. That's why I took the J&J. That had nothing to do with a psak. Over here also, is there no baker? He didn't. So they try a baker. Okay. Rabbi Chalber said, yeah. Oh, basically, that's a joke. Even according to the one who says palta a baker of a goy, even according to the one that says it's mutter, it's only when there's no Jewish baker. You're not allowed to take from a Goyish baker if there's a Yiddish baker. I'll just finish here 2 minutes and then we'll answer. Even according to the man that says a Goyish baker is muta, only in a field. But here, where's the partying? Mishum chasnas, we have to worry, they'll be intermarriage. Iva was a chashva person. We have it in the Gemara, and he ate pas akum in the field by the border of Mitzi. Ablahu, Abei Mitzi, by the city of Abei Mitzi. It says Eitzel HaMitzorim goes by the borders. So the Rava said to the Bnei Yeshiva, Item Rav Nachman Rav Yitzchak, Lo tishtor b'hadei da'ayvul. Do not speak with ayvul. Because he's eating Aromanian bread. But really, ayvul is a very chashuv.